Window World is proud to present Kevin Keatsman Has Issues. Simply the best for less at windowskansascity.com.
When my firstborn, Spencer, was a little kid, he got to do a lot of special things. When he was born, I was still working in television. And we would have things like the Easter Bunny come knock on the door when he was a little toddler. And it would be live on TV on Sunday morning on Fox 4 News and things like that. He rode around in the Channel 4 helicopter. We went to high school football games together. He had some odd little things as a kid. I know I'm going to get in trouble with him for saying all these things on this day where he's marrying Courtney Coal in Phoenix, and they're getting ready to start their life together. He was a little hair twirler as a kid. His first word was spumble, and I don't know why that was. I think we taught him his name, and he was trying to maybe say Spencer. And we called him Spumble for years, like he's Bumbo, Spumbo. Fumble. It's the first thing he ever said. Maybe he heard me say fumble really loud watching football. I don't really know. But I'll never forget that his first word was fumble, and I'll never forget some of the first things that he did as a kid, first days at school, the friends that he had, the things that he loved doing. He fancied himself quite the golfer at a fairly young age, and he really liked to have a good-looking golf glove on, and he didn't mind having his shirt tucked in to look just right and look the part. He liked to have a Tiger Woods hat. He was a bit of a Tiger Woods fan, obviously, growing up, and things like that. And as he's getting ready to get married, you just think about so many things in his life, things that he did. You know, we tend to remember if he got in trouble for this, or it was disappointing that this happened with this class in college, or, you know, we always seem to remember and dwell on and never forget a lot of negative things. But man, on this day, all I can remember is the cute little things he did as a kid. That's all that's going through my mind, is the cute little things he did as a kid. And he was an adorable child. He was well-behaved. He was liked by everyone. His trouble didn't come until high school and college. My other two were kind of the opposite of that, actually. They were a little more difficult early, especially Cameron, my middle son. He was quite a handful as a child. And then he got easier. In high school and college, he just became very independent, and he's on his own, and you just don't worry about Cameron. He's just a guy you never really worry about. You just don't have to worry about him. And there's a compliment in that. I've often said that a lot of people in my life just don't really worry about me. And I'm like, I don't want you to worry about me. That's great. I got this. And so there's something really cool about that. Abby was really smart, so she breezed through school. But, you know, teenage girls, do I need to say more? But Spence, until he was maybe like a senior in high school, was like, especially as a kid, he was always smiling. He loved his grandpa Keatsman, and he was really the only of my three kids that really knew him, but he knew him well. We had Mondays and Tuesdays off, or I did, from Channel 4, and so it was me and Spence for 4 years, from 90 to 94, until Cameron was born. His first 4 years, every Monday and Tuesday, we just hung out. It was my off days. And Spencer's mom was at work, and I hung out with my dad all the time. And we'd go down there, we'd go to the Woodlands and go to the dog races. I mean, I had like a 2-year-old at the Woodlands walking around. We got the cutest pictures ever. He used to like holding up the little sports page in his hand and looking like his grandpa reading the sports page and things like that. So many adorable, cute moments as a child. And he's been a man for a long time. He's 33. So this is not some, 22-year-old getting married. I'm like, wow, he's really transitioning to the next phase. He's been on his own for quite some time, but still, you just think about him as babies, or at least that's what I've been thinking about most of this day as he's getting ready to get married. And I'm just so excited for them and their future and their life that's ahead. And I know they're going to be happy, and they've got it pretty good. They both just have really good careers going right now. They're in just terrific, positive places. They're healthy and young, and everything's a possibility. They love living in the desert. They love Arizona. She has great family support and structure there. Spencer has family that loves to visit him there. So it's just worked out great. You always worry for your kids, like, is this going to be okay? This is fantastic. Complete, utter, 5-star blessing from Kevin and Jessica for Spence. Good luck to you, buddy. It's going to be great. He's going to join us in just a couple of moments. We'll talk a little bit about how he met his fiancée, but we'll also talk some sports. We'll preview the Chiefs and Chargers. We'll talk a little KU, K-State, and Missouri football. It is all brought to you on this episode of KKHI by IdealHealthKC.com. Dr. Kip Van Camp, he's actually working with a couple friends of mine now. And I spoke with one this week, and she says she's doing great. She's doing the blood spinning and believes that she's not really felt the same after getting some COVID shots. And it's really helping. And that was just great to hear. So it's awesome that they're giving it a chance. And he says it's about 80% of the people he works with that you see a real benefit. Whether you have joint pain, Alzheimer's onset, Parkinson's, things like that, you can use your body's tissue through tissue or stem cells, or with blood spinning, which is just, the PRP is remarkable what it does for you. It gets the good cells, the good things in your blood back working for you. To get them off the unemployment line and puts them working for you again, for your body. And it's pretty cool stuff. IdealHealthKC.com. If you'd like to schedule a consultation with Dr. Van Camp and tell him what's ailing you and maybe he can help you, it's an easy phone call, 913-745-5300, or online at IdealHealthKC.com. Jocelyn's Jewelry this weekend. We're in the wedding mood here in Arizona. But if you're looking for an engagement ring, there's no place better than Jocelyn's Jewelry, 95th and Antioch. They have thousands of diamonds to choose from, all kinds of different rings and settings, and they'll build it and make it for you. They'll make this process so easy, guys, for you if you're getting ready to pop the question. 95th and Antioch in Overland Park, online at jocelynsjewelry.com. No commissions ever, family owned and operated forever. The jeweler you'll recommend to your friends and family is Jocelyn's. And Buck Roofing and Construction. Buck Roofing will give you a free roof estimate if you want to see inspection, not an estimate, an inspection on your roof to see if you got any hail damage up there, torn shingles, busted up things. If it's been a while since anybody's been on your roof, call Ron Buck and his team at 913-384-2680. You'll sleep well knowing Buck Roofing fixed the roof over your head. And don't forget Buck Disposal now for all your disposal needs as well on the job site, buckdisposal.com. All right, this one's for me, folks. Spencer, you all know him. He's done the weekend podcasts and been on here and filled in for me from time to time. And this is his big night as he's getting married at a beautiful wedding venue in Chandler, Arizona. We're so excited. And I had a chance to speak with him a couple of days ago. So the interview is not happening on Friday. This was a couple of days ago when I spoke with Spence about life and football and sports and what is ahead. Hit it.
The KK Has Issues conversation is presented by Roberts Robinson Chevrolet Buick GMC. Shop, click, drive at robertsrobinson.com.
All right, Spence Man joins us now. It's an exciting time. We're so happy to have him on the podcast. I know so many of you have heard him when he's filled in for me and done some weekend podcasts through the years. He doesn't do as much of it these days, but I know that he likes talking, he likes broadcasting, he likes talking about sports, and it's a big week for him. So father and son, here we are. What's up, Spence Man? How you doing?
Oh, I'm good. It's just a busy week for the two of us, our families, a lot of people coming into town, and it's pretty exciting. We both have quite a few relatives from out of town coming in. I finally did the guest list, and it's about 70 to 30 Kowal to Keatsman on the guest list. So I lost that one.
Okay. That's okay. That's okay. That actually works out okay. I'm a little surprised to hear that, but you know, they've got everybody in the Phoenix area and people here. There's some people we know here that couldn't make it and things like that. And it's a difficult thing for a destination wedding, but it's going to be fun. What are you looking forward to the most about this whole thing?
I think I'm obviously looking forward to the wedding, but for our side of the family in particular, with both you and my mom's side, there's relatives here that I don't get to see a whole lot. I can't remember the last time I saw, Aunt Karen, for example, and they're going to be here. So, and same on my mom's side, there's relatives coming that, we all haven't seen each other in a very long time. And I think that's going to be pretty dang cool to see everyone together, to have all the pictures with all my family, with me and Courtney. There's going to be some pictures taken that it's possible there's going to be certain people in pictures that this is the last time we all take a picture together. I thought about that. That's kind of weird. So I just think all the family being here and anybody who's been married before, they know what I'm talking about. And I know you certainly understand what I'm talking about. And so do the listeners. So that's what I'm most looking forward to.
You got a little wrinkle thrown at you here. It's about 15 degrees hotter than it normally is this time of year in Phoenix. You're looking at mid to upper 90s for your wedding ceremony outside. I think that caught you off guard a little bit. We going to be okay?
Yeah, we'll be fine. That's better than rain.
Yeah.
But because it is an outdoor wedding, there was a contingency plan to move it inside. And I actually got contacted by the wedding venue saying, we're looking at 98 degrees on Friday. Do you want to move this thing inside? And I said, no, we'll be okay. It's the ceremony's at sunset. Once the sun goes down, it'll feel good outside. There just won't be any fire pits going, maybe like we thought there would be. But no, I mean, highs normally this time of year in the mid 80s. It's going to be a little warmer than that. We got a heat wave coming in. It is what it is. I'd rather have that than rain, because when it rains out here, you don't really know it's coming until maybe an hour or two out. You know, they kind of have a general idea, but it's not like Kansas City where 3 days in advance. There's 100% chance of rain for 6 hours from noon to 6 p.m. We don't really have that out here. They kind of just pop up out of nowhere.
That's awesome. Well, it's going to be a little warm, but we're going to have a great time with it all. How did you, what can you tell our listeners about Courtney, or what you would want to share about her and your marriage? How did you, I don't even know if I know the story of when you guys met. How long have you been together? When did you first meet?
January of 2018 was when we first met. So we met on Bumble, the dating app. And at the time, I was like on Bumble just trying to meet girls and stuff like that. I didn't really take it too seriously, and I don't think she did either. I've got about 3.5 years in age on her. So I met her, I think I was 27, about to turn 28, and she was 24. And our first date was the Phoenix Open. The first real date. We met for lunch. For just like a minute. And then like a week and a half later, I had Phoenix Open tickets from my job. I was working at Scottsdale National at the time, and a bunch of members dropped a bunch of, GA passes on us for the Phoenix Open for Saturday, which is the busiest day. She's born and raised here. She had never been in her life. She had never touched a golf club. She had never watched anything golf on TV. So she didn't know what to expect. And she was blown away by how many people there were there. But I always like to tell people our first real date was with 200,000 other people.
Yeah, that's awesome. There's nothing like the Phoenix Open. Where did you meet for lunch?
It was Chipotle, believe it or not.
Okay, yeah. Well, in Scottsdale?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Chipotle, Scottsdale. That's a perfect place to go meet somebody off of Bumble. What the hell is Bumble, by the way? Explain this to me. It's just pictures of people, swipe left, swipe right. Is that how it works?
Yeah, it's a lot different now, probably. I wouldn't know. I haven't been on it since we met.
Right. You guys have deleted the apps, right? Both of you have deleted Bumble at this point?
Yeah. I still have the original conversation screenshotted, I think. And it started off with like, on the Bumble profile, there's pictures of you, obviously, and a short little bio, things you like to do, hiking, watching football, blah, 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 stuff like that. And you basically swipe right means yes, I'm interested. Left means no, based on 5 pictures and a 2-paragraph bio about a person. Right. That's what you're taking. You're taking a gamble on that. And then, you start messaging each other, and then you decide if you want to, meet up for lunch or a beer or something like that. And that's kind of how it goes. So, but it worked out. Like, I had been on Bumble dates before that were terrible. So I didn't really take it seriously, and I don't think she did either. But lo and behold, 6 years later, we're getting married.
Right.
It's pretty crazy. It really is. And maybe some of the younger listeners have been through the same thing, or even some of the older listeners. I mean, I've heard stories of people in their 50s and 60s, maybe on their second marriage in life, that have met on the apps and gotten married. So that's pretty cool.
Turns out she had never really seen or knew anything about golf, but she is a sports fan. She loves the Arizona Diamondbacks and her Arizona State Sun Devils. You guys have season tickets, or one of the mini plans to the Diamondbacks, who are having quite a year. They're in the National League Championship Series right now. That's got to be exciting to have the Diamondbacks in the National League Championship Series while you're getting married. Is she like on the edge of her seat every game watching these things? How does she handle these games?
She's actually pretty calm. She's more on the edge of her seat about the Minnesota Vikings, which was her dad was from Minnesota, a huge Vikings fan. So she grew up watching the Vikings. But she gets excited about it, obviously, and she's always just like going to the ballpark. I don't even know if it's so much the game itself. She knows baseball. She knows everything about it, and she likes it. But I think she likes the ballpark, the fun stuff there, whether it's the silly games they do between innings on camera. She loves the 50-50 raffle. Every time we go, she puts a $10 bill in on the 50-50 raffle. And of course, Grandma Keatsman knows all about that. But she loves doing that. She just loves the whole experience of going to a game. I don't know if she's a big fan of watching on TV as much as she is going to the game, but she's just a sort of an old school All-American girl in a way that she likes being around people and going to the ball game. She gets the same margarita every time she goes, and just loves every bit of it.
Buddy,
So
I think we had a conversation with her about the 50-50 raffle, maybe not the last time we were out there, but maybe a year or two ago. And we told her about Grandma winning. They won like $7,000 in the 50-50 raffle at a Royals game. That was my mom and Aunt Karen, who you were just discussing, my sister Karen. We talked to her about that one time and told her that story. I'm pretty sure, didn't we?
We did, and I believe there was some controversy involved in the Karen and Grandma Keith's 50-50. I don't know the whole story. I've heard a couple different things, but I know your belief on what should have happened, and I don't know that it did.
Well, I was supposed to be in seat number 4, and apparently they split it 4 ways. And
It was your seat?
I wasn't there when it happened. Oh, they were my seats and my tickets. The whole deal. But it is all good now. It's all forgotten now. And we'll see. Your grandmother's very excited that there's a casino real close to where she's staying here at this wedding. She was in there on Thursday, and she's just very excited that there's a casino. I mean, it's made the trip for her. She loves the wedding, and this may be absolutely the last time she travels anywhere. I mean, she said she's never traveling anywhere again unless a grandchild gets married or a baby is born, and she'd consider it.
Okay.
But Aunt Connie's doing a really nice job of taking care of her and making sure everything's going to be good here. So I think it's really cool that she's 90 and she's coming to your wedding. We may have to keep her in the shade, however.
That's fine. There'll be plenty of it. There's plenty of big trees there, and the sun will be going down anyways. But I think Grandma's going to be a little disappointed at what the table minimums for blackjack are out here.
Uh-oh.
I think
is it high?
They can be pretty high. It depends on the night you go, but weekend nights, sometimes they're $25 minimums on the blackjack tables, which I don't know if I know Granny loves to play, but if I remember correctly, she's usually the one that wins $100 and gets out. Am I not wrong?
This is great. She lives in that senior apartment complex, and there's a bunch of people in there that like to play blackjack. They play poker every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, but about once a month, they've got a man there who doesn't mind driving, and he's got an SUV, and 5 of them get in his SUV and drive all the way to the casino in St. Joseph, Missouri, because they have $5 blackjack. Now, she's not going to find that in Arizona, I can promise you, but she'll be okay.
No, there's no $5 blackjack here. That does not exist.
She's just going to have to splurge. Instead of buying in for 100, she's going to have to buy in for 200 and play whatever it is. But I'm sure she'll be fine.
Right.
So it's
she'll love it.
Yeah, it's all good. It's going to be a blast. And then you guys are going to tell me about your honeymoon. You're going to be going to Colorado, and you said you were excited about going to the mountains because it's been hot, obviously, in Arizona all summer, and now it's really hot this week as well. You can't wait to get to Colorado. It's probably going to be in the 50s and 60s. That'll be a good feeling for you, won't it?
Well, I was telling Courtney, 98 degrees the day we leave Phoenix, land in Denver, drive to the mountains. I rented us a Jeep. I'm pretty excited about that. And it's going to be a high of like 48. So we got like a 50-degree temperature swing in the matter of 7 or 8 hours. So you just hope when that happens that you don't get sick. I think that's the thing I'm most concerned about is getting sick, because when you go from 98 to 48 at altitude,
you'll be all right.
That's what she's worried about. She's worried she's going to get sick just because of the temperature drop. But we've got a bunch of things planned. We've got some electronic bike tours. There's an old mining town near Breckenridge called, I think it's called Frisco, Colorado.
Yeah.
Where they let you rent a bike, and it's about a 20-mile electric bike ride that has its own path along the side of this state highway. And it's just from what I've read about it, it's just a beautiful drive that time of year in Colorado.
That's great.
And so we're doing a few brewery tours on those bike trips. It'll be fun. And we don't really have a whole lot planned, I guess. It's going to be sort of play it by ear. Because because it's not ski season out there yet. You can't do any of that. The lifts won't be open and stuff. So, but we are going to do some hiking. There's a mine there in Colorado we want to go tour because we're interested in. We're both history people and fun stuff. So there's a lot of history in Breckenridge, Colorado. It's not just the bougie shops downtown and the skiing. There's a lot more there than what I thought, because I've been there before and I didn't really do much when I was there other than the bars and restaurants. Yeah. So I'm looking forward to seeing more of the mountains out there and doing that. And then, we just thought we're coming off a summer where we had one of the hottest summers we've had in recent years. I was like, let's go somewhere where it's cold.
Nice. That works.
And so it's not going to be anything crazy. Most people don't think of Breckenridge as a honeymoon spot because it really isn't. But for us, it's going to be, and we're going to have a lot of fun.
All right, let's talk a little football, buddy. We'll wrap it up with a little fun, something we both really enjoy talking about. On Sunday, both the undefeated teams in the NFL went down, the Niners and the Eagles, which means the Chiefs are now tied for the best record in the NFL, tied for the best record in the AFC. We know all these things. So the table is set for the Chiefs to make another run at it this year. When you watch them play, and they've got the Chargers Sunday afternoon at Arrowhead Stadium, when you watch the Chiefs play this year, what do you like and not like about them? And what do you think they need to do to become their best possible version by December and January?
Well, you obviously love the way the defense is playing. This one's obvious. You like the way the defense is playing, but you don't like the fact that they're not scoring like they have in the last 5 or 6 years. They're just not. And you've touched on this a lot, that it's sort of a reinvented team because there is an issue with wide receivers in Kansas City. I think when you're talking about a guy like Kadarius Toney being your number one going into the season, that to me means that there was not a number one wide receiver that they felt confident with that is going to be the guy. I mean, your number one wide receiver is Travis Kelce. That's not going to change. He catches more passes than anybody on the team, but the running game is good enough to get by. I don't think it's the best running game in the NFL by any means. But you still have the best quarterback who's made some just dumb throws. Like, that's the frustrating thing to me. I don't mind winning, 21-10 against a lesser opponent. But when Mahomes is throwing 2 picks a game, that's kind of frustrating because then you're having to fight a little bit more. You're putting way too much pressure on your defense. The throw he made against Denver the other night was just unexcusable. I mean, the Chiefs were driving. They were getting ready to go in and score and put the game out of reach. And it's not like the Chiefs against the Broncos we're ever going to lose that game, but you're still putting yourself in spots to where the Chiefs are going to drop a game because it's just too much on the defense. They're going to run into some better quarterbacks down the stretch. There's no question. You got Herbert coming up. You got Jalen Hurts. I mean, there's all kinds of quarterbacks that can beat that defense. So you just hope they find a middle ground to where their offense is, let's say it's 75% of what it's been, and the defense is 175% better than what it's been. So they'll figure it out. I'm not worried about the Chiefs missing the playoffs or anything. They're going to win this division. That's pretty much already over, in my opinion. But there are some division games coming up that they could struggle and mess around with the Raiders and lose. I mean, they could struggle and mess around with the Chargers and lose. But I just think they need to find some sort of middle ground to where they're maybe winning 28-7 instead of 19-7 to make the fans a little more happier, I guess. But it is what it is. Just keep winning.
College football, you're out west, and the Pac-12 is really good this year. There's a lot of really good teams. Now, USC didn't look very good last week against Notre Dame, but Washington and Oregon played a terrific game, and they're both very, very good. There's a whole bunch of, maybe top 15 teams in that league. Here in our parts, the Missouri Tigers are making a lot of waves. Brady Cook's having a tremendous year at quarterback, and this Luther Burden at wide receiver is like, he'd be the Chiefs' best receiver if they had him right now. I mean, he's elite, and their other receivers, number 2 and number 3, are outstanding, but Burden's just an absolute freak show. Missouri is 6-1, Spence. They got a real thing going on here now. I don't think they're going to make any kind of a run at Georgia in the division, but it's been really interesting to watch Missouri play this well.
They should be 7-0. They really should. And that they're kicking themselves for the LSU game, obviously. They go to Kentucky, who I think is okay. They got off to a hot start, but they're an 8-win team at best. I mean, there's teams in the SEC that always get off to hot starts that you think are going to be really good. They end up going 8-4. Kentucky's one of those teams. You just hope Missouri isn't one of those teams. Now, obviously, there are some tough games on the schedule. There's no doubt about that. So they could be really good and be 8-4. And I don't know if you're a Missouri fan, are you mad about that? If you lose to Georgia, if you lose to Tennessee, and you end up 8-4, are you? I don't think you're too upset with the way the season went, especially when the quarterback play has been better. You've got arguably the best wide receiver in the SEC on your team, and Missouri's had teams like that before. They've had the best player at certain positions in the conference at 5 out of the last 10 years, you would say. They've had a guy who is the best at what he does. You look at Nick Bolton, you look at Luther Burden, you look at these guys they've had. They just haven't been able to put together a 10-win team. So you got to beat the Tennessees. You got to beat the Floridas. You got to beat those teams in the SEC East to win 10 games to have a chance to go to New Orleans or Atlanta and play Alabama in that title game. That's the goal. That's what you look at. I don't know if they can do that, but they're having a lot of fun playing, and they've won some really, really entertaining games this year. They're a very fun team to watch. They really are.
Saw quite a change with Kansas State last Saturday at Texas Tech, and I think, we've been watching Will Howard, who was just tremendous down the stretch last year and has NFL potential and size and arm and all those things, make all these bad decisions and force throws and play tight. I think I would describe him, he's been playing tight. I think I now know why. I think he's been looking over his shoulder in practice for weeks, wondering when Avery Johnson was going to come in the game. And when you're thinking like that as a starting quarterback, it's pretty hard to get your head in the right place. But it has been a complete 180 for Will Howard, and Avery Johnson came in. And I don't think Avery Johnson's going to play every snap the rest of the way. I don't think that's it at all. But what a talent they have in a true freshman. And I know Kansas State fans are really excited with what they saw.
All right, so check this out. Skylar Thompson left, 2 years ago?
Yes.
So ever since Skylar Thompson left Kansas State, each of the last 2 years, there's been one thing in common. Kansas State has lost the game because Chris Klieman was playing the wrong quarterback. That's already happened this year, in my opinion, at Oklahoma State. He threw 3 interceptions. Avery Johnson was basically just a decoy when he was on the field, didn't really do a whole lot. And you could argue that had Avery Johnson played in that game, Kansas State would have been able to slow it down and turn the ball over less and at least get out of there with a win.
I won't disagree with you, but I will play devil's advocate and say, since he's a true freshman, there's a timetable for when you're actually ready to go out there and do that. And he may not have been ready 3 weeks ago or even 2 weeks ago to do something like that. And you're returning a guy that's the biggest quarterback in the Big 12, 6'5", won the league title last year and was brilliant over a 7-game stretch. So I am not second-guessing Chris Klieman at all, and I thought he coached that game against Texas Tech brilliantly last week, saying, look, if they're going to play deep safeties on us and take the ball away, they basically were taking Will Howard out of the game, which is what they're all doing. They're playing 2 deep safeties, saying we're not going to let Will Howard throw the ball down the field. If that's what Texas Tech was going to play, he put his running quarterback in there, and it worked. So I give him credit for doing the right thing. I'm not nearly as critical of Chris Klieman this year as I was last year.
That's fair enough, and it worked. You're right, because things were not off to a great start in Lubbock when Will Howard was in the game. Putting Avery Johnson in changed everything. They didn't really turn the ball over. They ran it. I mean, he had 5 rushing touchdowns in the game. There were 5 total touchdowns. He's the first guy to do that since Colin Klein did it, 12 years ago? Yep. So I think that the kid's a special talent. Is he ready to start at quarterback against a team like Texas and go win one of those games, who has an elite defense, who has NFL players on the roster? Texas Tech's not very good. They're okay. They were going to be a lot better this year had the kid from Chandler, I'm forgetting the starting quarterback's name from Arizona out here, had he not gotten hurt. Tyler Shoop, I think, or Shoop or something. So that guy's a good quarterback. They were going to be a lot better team until that happened, obviously. But Kansas State did what they needed to do and go beat a lesser opponent, and they didn't do that against Oklahoma State, who is a lesser opponent. I still, to this day, I don't think Oklahoma State's as good of an overall team as Kansas State. I mean, they lost by 30 at home to South Alabama. So I don't think that there's any excuses for that, but they're moving on. There's no question. They're moving on. They've got a TCU team who K-State and TCU have always played dogfight football games. I mean, they're always crazy. There's something that happens. You remember last year, Kansas State had that huge lead, couldn't hold it, lost the game. because Martinez got hurt. Will Howard came in and wasn't really that good, and then he got hurt as well, if I remember. So there, something happens every time Kansas State and TCU play each other. It's an absolute dogfight, and we saw one in person in Dallas last year. That was a great time. I wouldn't expect anything less. I don't think TCU is as good as they were last year, obviously, but they got a good win. They've had a couple good wins so far this year, and they're going to be tough. Every time these two teams play, it's a dogfight. It really is.
All right, so it's still 5 or 6 weeks away, but who wins the KU K-State game? KU is off this week, but their offense is just beautifully coached and schemed. They had turnovers at the end of the game last week that cost them the win at Oklahoma State. They were in position to win that and didn't, but man, I just think this one's too hard to call at this point. I guess we'll have to see what K-State does at the quarterback position going forward, but at the game's in Lawrence. Who do you like, KU or K-State?
Well, who's won the last 13?
Okay. All right. Good enough.
Well, no, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. It's too early to tell because after the Oklahoma State game, I told one of my buddies, I think Kansas is better than K-State. And imagine if they had their quarterback. I mean, Jason Bean is a decent player. He's not Jalen Daniels. I mean, is that kid ever going to come back? Like, does anybody seem to know when their starting quarterback is going to be back?
No, it's very quiet. There's all kinds of weird stuff around it and rumors and everything else. So, no, nobody seems to know.
But I don't get it. Like, I've talked to my KU friends. They don't understand. They're like, when is this kid going to play?
Well, there are literally people think that he's doing this so he can save a year and transfer and make a bunch of money somewhere.
Okay.
I'm just telling you, there are some people that think that.
That's the college football age we live in, I guess, and that's something that Kansas are going to have to accept if that's what I can't imagine this young man is not wanting to play. I
don't buy into that at all, but I'm telling you, there are people that believe that he's doing that he can take a redshirt year here and use this year and keep a year of eligibility and transfer somewhere else and make a pile of money. I'm like, why would he do that? Why wouldn't Kansas just pay him a pile of money?
Right, which they would.
I know.
I'm sure.
None of it makes sense, but I'm just telling you, like I said, there's just all kinds of weird stuff out there, but when you don't define what it is, and Kansas really hasn't explained it all, and there's no real news on some of these things, then people are going to speculate. That's just what happens.
I'll say that Kansas can be as good as K-State with Daniels at quarterback. Without him, I don't think so.
All right, good enough. Spence, Before we wrap it up, I want to thank a couple of our sponsors for indulging us with a little fun chat here, father-son, like Fry Orthodontics. Great family, the Fry family is. For sure. They've got 14 locations around Kansas City. Now in Lawrence, Fry Orthodontics is online at fryorthodontics.com. Get your perfect smile for life at Fry Orthodontics. B-Stock and our friends at bstock.net, Chris and the gang out there in Olathe at the retail location. Just walk right in if you want to see all the appliances. Spence, you guys are going to be getting a house here soon, I'm pretty sure. Mm-hmm. It would be awesome if you had a place like B-Stock in Phoenix where you could find appliances for up to 40% off retail. You can do that at bstock.net, 14680 South Flaming Road in Olathe. And if the Chiefs win Sunday against the Chargers, don't forget, the day after the Chiefs win, use the promo code ChiefsWin and get the dollar amount off your tickets at Tickets for Less of however many points the Chiefs scored. So if the Chiefs scored 35 points against the Chargers on Sunday, for 24 hours after the game, any Chiefs purchase the rest of the year, use promo code ChiefsWin and you get $35 off. It's all just right there. Ticketsforless.com. No fees added ever. We love that. Spence, we got to get you and Courtney to Kansas City sometime fairly soon and go to a football game again. It was really fun when you guys visited and we went to the Chiefs-Vikings game a few years ago. And I don't want to get too sentimental or mushy or anything like that on the podcast, but you know that we love you very much and we're very proud of you and happy for you and Courtney and wish you a blessed lifetime of health and happiness and just a wonderful, wonderful life as a great married couple. We wish you the very best, son.
I appreciate that so much, and I'm excited. It's a big step. It's anybody who's gone through the wedding process knows that you're ready for the day to get there, and that's where we are right now. And I'm just so excited about it. And who knows? Maybe next time we're in Kansas City, we'll go over to B-Stock and pull the trigger on a few things, see if they can ship it out to Phoenix. Who knows?
There you go. Thank you, buddy. Best of luck.
All right. Thank you.
All right. There's my firstborn, Spencer Keatsman, marrying Courtney on this Friday. A wonderful, wonderful story. We thank him for coming on, and we thank you for indulging us and, listening to the podcast and having a little fun. It's been a different kind of week. We appreciate you being here and hitting that play button at Kevin Keatsman Has Issues.
Thanks for listening to Kevin Keatsman Has Issues, presented by Roberts Robinson Chevrolet Buick GMC. To get exclusive patrons-only podcasts, receive a weekly newsletter, and attend in-person patrons-only parties, visit kkhasissues.com and become a patron today. This has been a production of Crooked Tail Media Incorporated.